All right, looks like we're live. Welcome to today's stream. I'm your host, Kogi Lumpur, and in today's stream, we'll be going over yet again another set of trades by our lovely crypto millionaire friend Joe, and we're going to try to reverse engineer what he's been seeing, right? So the purpose of the stream is really I'm trying to learn how to get good at trading. I've been trading everything under the sun, from the NASDAQ stock market all the way till crypto, all the way to Forex as of last Christmas. And one of the things that I love to do is I try to look at people's trades, people that I've kind of vetted, that I believe actually took the trades that they claim that they took. And I try to reverse engineer, try to go back in time, try to figure out what they were seeing in order for me to be able to learn from those trades. The reason why I do this is because I don't believe in paying a bunch of gurus who may or may not be, legit. I don't want to have to waste my time going through a bunch of videos from some guy going through a million indicators and as to how to get into trades, what kind of news to read, and all the fundamentals, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in wasting my time doing all of that. I think the best way to learn how to actually trade is to go in there, jump right off the deep end, and get yourself some trades from people who claim to be successful. Look at those trades. Try to figure out what they were seeing when they were getting into those trades, trying to see what they were seeing as they were getting out, whether they got stopped out, when they decided to move their stop loss to the point where they actually got stopped out, or if they manually took themselves out of the trade. I want to know what they were seeing then and there as well. So a little bit of an introduction, as always, for the people who haven't watched my previous streams. I know nobody wants to go in there and watch 3 hours worth of past streams because you're all so busy with your work life. You have to go to work every single day, and after work you're so busy you gotta eat dinner and then scroll TikTok till you fall asleep, and the cycle begins again. So I'm gonna give you an introduction as to how I'm doing my reverse engineering over here, and then we'll get right into it. So there's two characters over here. One of them is Joe. Joe is a crypto trader. He used to work at Google, and he one day found himself taking a bunch of lucky trades, and from there he made a bunch of money, and then he decided to go learn how to actually trade because he realized that his first 2 wins or so were purely based on luck. He didn't want to rely on luck anymore. He wanted to actually be able to not just preserve his wealth, but to also grow it as well. And he's since been able to allegedly hit something like 8 or 9 figures in terms of net worth by trading almost entirely crypto. So that's pretty interesting, at least for me, because when I first heard of Joe through a friend, I was like, is this guy another one of those like trading gurus who claims to know how to look at this giant list over here and know what to trade, and they get in at the same time and then to try to sell you a course in order to help you do the same thing and make a bunch of money like him? Or is he for real? And long story short, we'll get into this some other time when I guess the time is right, when someone asks for it enough, when I decide to be in the mood to make a video. I'll get into that origin story in more detail. But the long story short is I did a bunch of, let's say, Sherlock Holmesing, autistic background checking into Joe. And I believe that the trades that he's taken in the past are completely legitimate. So he's the first guy in our little reverse engineering story over here. So I actually did pay Joe something to the tune of $500 a month for a couple of months last year to try to learn from him how to get good in crypto trading. Now, the problem is, despite knowing when to get in and what coins to buy into and when to get out, Joe wasn't able to successfully communicate what exactly he was seeing, right? He knew what to get in. He was making the right calls. It's just that he couldn't really communicate this to people like myself that he was trying to mentor. So what did I do after that? After I kind of left Joe, I stumbled upon this other guy, a Japanese guy who trades Forex, and I realized, from the course of trying to learn things like trading mindset and psychology, I started paying attention to how Forex worked. I never, expected myself to even be trading Forex, and here I am, summer of 2025. And the reason why that is because after paying attention to the Japanese guy and his trading mindset and trading psychology videos, I started paying attention to what he had to say about Forex. And then shortly thereafter, I realized, oh wow, a lot of the stuff that he's saying, the way that he enters and exits his trades seems extremely similar to how Joe seemingly enters, at least, his trades in crypto. So the pro about the Japanese guy is he's very structured, which is why you have these 6 charts over here. What he does is he tries to look at the top upper time frames. As you can see, there's the 1 day in the upper left hand corner, and then in the lower left hand corner there's the 4-hour chart. He tries to look for a trend in either one of these, preferably both, and if he sees something in the higher time frame, he then goes to the medium time frame over here, which is the 1-hour chart in the middle over here and the 30-minute chart. And then he looks for the same thing. If there's a trend, let's say there's a clear downtrend like we see over here, there's something in either one of these charts, preferably both, then he gets into the 5-minute chart to look for his exact point of entry. Now, that's extremely organized, extremely great. The downside to that guy is that he's so specific, like he wants three indicators or 3 things to line up in this lower time frame over here before he decides to get into a trade, that the amount of filtering basically means that he's taking like 1 trade a week on average, which is, I guess, okay if you're playing to the tune of several $100,000 or even $1 million like he is this year. But it's not so good if you're trying to look for trades to feed yourself and your family every single day in order to get a consistent income. So this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to mash those 2 worlds together, and here we go. Now, the last time we were here, we were actually looking at Bitcoin, I believe. Was it Bitcoin? Either way, we're in the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin's hit its all-time high yet again, 120K, just less than 12 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago. And we're going to go back in time, actually, to the 21st of June, 2024. Which is where our friend Joe got into a trade to short Bitcoin when it was about $60,000, which is about half of the price that we have today. So I'm going to go back to 8 a.m. I also should probably write down the timestamp for the sake of our future viewers. 9 minutes. And I'm going to look at this Bitcoin trade from June the 21st, 2024. See what he was seeing. We have a bunch of good information to work with over here, which is nice. I have the entry timing. I have the entry price. I also have a bunch of other data. So the way that I do reverse engineering is I try to look at the information that I have, that I've taken from Joe, and I try to put those pieces of the puzzle together in order to see, or try to see, what he was seeing when he chose to get into those trades. Now, we have his declared entry somewhere over here at 64.9K. And he had a stop loss all the way up here, 66.5K, okay. 66.5K was his stop loss, and he was also aiming to get it down all the way to 62.8 and 61.5K. So let me just mark this over here, 62.8K. Now, we want to get this out of the way first because we want to have some clarity. We don't want to be fumbling around to locate the price points again as we move deeper into this reverse engineering Sherlock Holmesing process. So we do want to mark those stop losses and also his take profit points over here. I do have my other keyboard that I'm using today, so it's going to be a bit noisier and clackier than usual. So sorry, not sorry that you can hear my typing. 21st June 2024. So he declared entry about this time. See if we can move a candle forward. It does look like he did enter somewhere here, I believe. I want to say that he actually entered here. Because you see this 5-minute trend over here was trending downwards, and it's quite unlikely that he saw this pullback and then decided to enter here. And besides that, there's also a typically couple of minutes delay before he actually between when he gets into his trades and when he declares that he entered his trades. So about 10 to 15 minutes before his declared entry timing isn't so unrealistic. Off my screen over here, I do have a Word document and also an Excel file. For those of you who are watching for the first time, I do maintain these two documents because I have my notes from Joe as to when he entered what on the Excel, and on the Word document I have a bunch of notes that I take down, which is basically a written version of what I talk about on these live streams. There's not anything different aside from the fact that I'm narrating what I'm thinking over here, and then as I'm doing that, I'm also writing them down off screen into my notes. So, okay, we want to look at this real quick. It looks like Bitcoin had been trending upwards over here previously. Hit its, I think this was an all-time high, if I'm not mistaken, from the last time it was there in. No, yeah, that's an all-time high at the time, and it's trending upwards, but he chose to short it because it looked like it didn't like it up here at the 70K mark, and he decided to, I guess, bet on it going back down, because you can see over here that there's quite a bit of room for it to run from this price point to down here, and then if it actually breaks this 1 week support, it's going to fly all the way back down here to 50K or so, and people are going to make a ton of money. So the first thing I want to look at is the Japanese man style of whether the high time frame is trending or not. Looks like the 1 day time frame isn't really trending per the Japanese indicator, Ichimoku. But on the 4-hour chart over here, it does have a little bit of a downward trend. And I say a little bit of a downward trend because there's this shaded gray area called the Kumo, which is cloud in Japanese. And it's nice and thick, means that there's a bunch of people transacting, right? A thin Kumo means that it's less liquid. Thicker means more liquid, means that there's a better transfer price to be moving in a certain direction. You can see that this yellow line, the Chikou span, is actually below the candles over here, which indicates a downtrend. The green line, which is the Kijun Sen, is not really downward pointing, which is suboptimal for the potential of continuation downwards. So it does qualify. Let's give it like half credit over here that the 4-hour is trending downwards in a way. Same thing with the 1 hour and 30 minute. You can see that the lines are within the Kumo still. It just freshly broke out from the Kumo in terms of candles, but you can see the green line is still up here, not really trending. 30 minute is similar to the 4-hour. Seems like it might trend. although it's more optimal if this green line was pointing down. So let me just write this down to my Word document. All right. 5 minute looks like it was clearly trending downwards over here. So just type that down. Likely entered over here. All right, so okay, there's a bunch of notes over here that I will take down. But first, let me just save this screenshot before I forget. So it's part of my ritual to save the save a screenshot because it makes it easier for me to refer back in time when I want to. Oh man. I just had a coffee, but I'm yawning. That's terrible. Coffee doesn't work for me. I just like drinking I'm just a fan of hot beverages. Doesn't really help me keep awake, unfortunately. So what I do is I save these charts. I'm starting to get a lot of these charts. A lot of these charts. And that's fine. Let's save this one as well. I probably should explain the 2-chart view. So the 6-chart view over here, for those who are watching for the first time, is a bird's eye view, right? So I get to look at the high time frame on the left, the middle time frame in the middle, and then the low time frame in this bottom right hand corner, and then on the upper right it's the super high time frame, which is the 1 week, right? And on this chart view, it's basically the same thing except the lower time frame is the 15-minute chart. So I really take a screenshot of this because of this 15-minute chart, because there's some cases where Joe takes his trades based on the 15-minute. He's not always clear as to which trades, but that's why I always take a screenshot as, I guess, backup, right? Should I go in there and see what's going on? Sometimes it looks clear on the 15-minute chart as opposed to the 5-minute. And also this view over here is adapted from this Japanese guy, right? So he has this view as a way of screening different pairs. And what he does is he looks at the higher time frame in the upper left, and then he goes, if this is trending, he goes to the middle time frame over here, and if this is trending, he moves on to the 5 minute. If one of these things isn't trending, he doesn't bother looking over here. He just goes over to the next pair, and the next pair, and the next coin, and the next whatever in order to find something that's trending. All right, with that out of the way, we do have a little bit of a, let's call it notation about this time. When Joe mentions that there's a pretty bad daily close on Bitcoin. All right, so this is a bit of a clue for us because he seems pretty positive already within 5 minutes of entering the trade. He notes that the daily close, which happens about this time, right? 8 a.m. Asian time. And he notes that the daily close looks pretty bad. As you can see, it tried to wick upwards. It couldn't wick upwards, and then it got pushed back down. Let me just make the order. Is it clear over here? Make sure you can see the wick. All right, there's a top wick up here, and it looks like it's about to want to run back down to these supports down here, which explains his take profit lines over here. So let me just write that down real quick as well. TP points. So you can see over here, his first take profit was actually a previous support just 2 months before he decided to enter this trade over here, 62.8K. 61.5K is when it was also support, but on the 1 day chart as well, you can see it's also a 1 week support. His stop loss up here looks like the wick high on the 1 hour chart, and it also looks like the wick high as well on the 4 hour as well. So it's more so on the 1 hour, I think, because of how it kind of touched here. There's the real support. I mean, the real resistance is all the way up here on the 66.7K mark on the 4 hour. So just write that down. All right, we don't actually see the next update for another 8 hours. So let me just save this view real quick. As a post entry note. Yeah, one thing I've been neglecting is making a video. Just looking at the stats over here, and it's not a lot of viewers for live. I think there's better viewership when I do videos, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, I'm doing this for myself and I don't get paid to do YouTube anyway. So regardless if I'm making a video, it's not like I get paid for those either. Do whatever the fuck I want. So Let me just go over here, talk about 4 p.m. At 4 p.m., he notes that things are doing pretty well. He expects it to keep going, and he expects this to hold as well. All right, so it doesn't look like he's doing anything or he's done anything so far over here. Just a bunch of comments. Just a bunch of comments over here. And then the next update actually comes another 8 hours later. More than 8 hours later, actually. 20. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting because at this time over here, he notes that Bitcoin is showing weakness on every time frame. Can I make the text fit a little bit better? I'm a bit OCD. I like it like this. So this is a good clue because it looks like he's still holding despite it be doing all this sideways chop over here, right? So he got it up here on this pink line, and then it came down, and then it's been doing this up down up down up down since. But he's pretty happy with I guess the structure across every time frame he says, right? So it's going into the 1 week close in about 48 hours from this time. But on the 1 day, it's pushing downwards. On the 4 hour, we've had multiple candle closes, you know, one below the next successively over here. You know, there was this little support that it broke. Same thing down here with the 1 hour and 30-minute time frames. So what's important over here is that he's still holding, and shortly thereafter is the next important milestone, because that's when he declares that he moved his stop loss down, which is something that is an unfortunately rare thing with Joe, because I don't really think he likes moving his stop losses down unless he's extremely confident that it's gonna play out the way he thinks, especially after this price, you know, after this comment over here, price moved upwards, you know, a little bit closer to his entry price. It started doing like this little higher low here, which may have been a factor in him moving his stop loss. So he moved his stop loss to 65.2K. So let me just put this here. It's an important clue over here, because if I was in his shoes, I would have done this because it's starting to show a bit of a higher low on the 30-minute and potentially the 1 hour time frame. So I wouldn't want to for it to shoot back up. And he might have been going somewhere at this time. I don't know. But if he was, it's a good thing that he moves his stop loss a little bit tighter to his entry price, because that way, if price does shoot, back upwards, does a reversal, he won't lose a lot of money. All right, so this is a major one, so I'm gonna save both views. Fast forward this. I don't know if I should just do like the single analysis today, because I'm feeling low energy. And I don't want to make another coffee. Right? The next update is all the way. Then the next on the next week. So we're gonna wait for this to fast forward a bit. And the reason why I like to play out the chart in a fast forward position over here, rather than just skip ahead, is I want to see what price action is doing. I like being able to see, like what we're looking at right now, how price moved, because it does give us clues sometimes. But over here, it looks like it was chopping sideways quite a bit. Looks like there was a known, new resistance that it formed around the 64.5K mark. Let me just not miss this. Okay, we have another 10 hours to go. So you can see over here about this mark, 64.5K, that it formed a new resistance there, and then it pushed all the way back down. Holy crap, he made good money on this, I think. Okay, we can actually go a little bit further. You know what? I'm gonna make a video based on this trade after this, because it's time. It's time that I create something that explains what the hell I'm doing over here for the rest of the channel who doesn't watch my live streams. That way, hopefully, people will start paying attention and we'll get more viewers, because the more viewers I get, it's not like I get paid, but the more motivated I become. And there's also going to be more interaction, which is always a good thing, because I don't want to be talking about trades all the fucking time. Okay, so this is partially what he said, and also what I think he meant by what he said. So at this time, when the price hit TP1, he notes that it hit his first profit target as expected, but things still look bearish, which, by the way, it actually does right now. Like this is more like the Japanese man style. So you can see over here that there is this little bend in the green line, the Kijun-sen, and you can see the same thing on the 1 hour, 30-minute time frames. And this is exactly what the Japanese man would look for in terms of like, I like the high time frame, I like the medium time frame. Now I'm gonna get in by looking for an entry point on the low time frame. This is exactly it. And he notes that there's a bearish market structure, which I think, right, is a reason why he's going to keep staying in, assuming he's taken some profits over here, because he's expecting it to move down to the next profit target, which is down here on the 61.5K mark. Okay, let me just save this as well because I think it's a good clue. It's a good clue for us for future reference, right? Not just for this trade. One of the things that I try to do when I'm learning from these trades is I'm trying to look at things that I can go ahead and apply for future trades, or even kind of turn back time to apply onto previous trades. Because again, I don't get all the information from our friend Joe over here. I have spotty details sometimes. Sometimes I don't get like a stop loss and stuff. So it's important for me to take away as much as I can from the trades that do have information, so that in the trades where I don't have as much information, like he doesn't provide his entry point, he doesn't provide his stop loss, or he provides an entry, hours after he's actually gotten in, I'm able to look at those things and say, hey, okay, now I can better put myself in Joe's shoes to try to look at what he was looking at the time that he got in. All right, so we're going to move forward another 8 hours to 8 p.m. Woo! Hit his second profit target. Hit his second profit target over here, and he is happy. And he has a final take profit point over here. Interesting. He just noted this right now. All right, so we're gonna put this little notation over here that TP2 declared he sold most of it. Let's save this over here as well. I'm gonna make a video on this actually. So if you guys are watching this and you see a video that sounds very familiar, like, yeah, I've heard this stuff before, don't be surprised, because I think this is a great trade for me to make a video on. So what's interesting about this part is he doesn't really declare his stop loss to have been moved down further. He just says that he's leaving a runner over here. All right, this right here is why I replay or just fast forward the charts instead of skipping right to the next point where I see he's made a note. And it's because of this kind of movement. I get to see that it's kind of pushing upwards over here, but it still seems like he's in, all the way from up here at 64.9K, even after it's done this. So this is where he differs from the Japanese guy who would never allow this thing to go back all the way up here, right? So he would have moved his stop loss down further and further down to the point where he kind of eventually gets hit, but like a sandwich, right? The stop loss moves down as the price moves back up. Eventually they both meet. That's where he gets out for some money. In this case, I don't know how much the fees would have cost Joe over here, but he's held it for another, 36 hours or so, 72, whatever. He's held this position for like almost 7 days at this point, on the 28th of June. This is I believe one of the longest trades that he's held too. Actually went too far ahead over here. And that's unbelievable. So he declared that he's still in it. It's just crazy. This is absolutely nuts. All right, so we're approaching the 1 week close as well, I believe. No, this is not the 1 week. The daily close, I apologize. So he declared about here. This is confusing. Yeah, this is a bit weird because he says that he's not convinced by the price action over here. Then later on at this time, wait, what? This was July 4th? Holy crap. Okay, I misread the dates. All right, so I'm going to save this real quick, and I am going to jump forwards to yeah, this is weird. So what happens at 10? Oh. Huh. This is weird as heck. He declares on the 4th of July that full TP All right, so this is going to be something that we will revisit much later on, because something ain't right over here. All right. All right, can we go forwards? I'm just gonna do this a little bit more, and then I'm gonna end the stream, unfortunately, because I'm just not feeling it today. I feel like making a video. That's weird. That's super weird. All right. All right. So I'm just gonna enter into my notes over here that this was a win for him. He did make money on this, as we've seen over here clearly, and it's pretty straightforward all the way to the point where he mentioned, after being a week after entering the position up here, that he was somehow still in, and then he was out, and then a week after that he mentioned this, like that he managed to hit the full take profit point. This part doesn't make as much sense, but where we can see clearly why he chose to enter, how he got out, hit his profit targets, And yeah, so it's partially clear. It's partially clear. We'll get back to this mystery sometime in the future. I apologize if I wasn't as entertaining today, and if this one analysis took a lot longer than expected, because it's a big trade that spanned over the course of 2 weeks. There was a lot to look at. That's it for today, and I hope you learned something. See you all in the next video. Goodbye.